Whoever secured that chain clearly understood the kind of thing they were up against. On the other end of it was something with piercing yellow eyes, jagged limbs, and a level of hostility that had the people gripping that chain looking genuinely rattled. It kept throwing itself forward, gauging how much give the restraint allowed, waiting for its opportunity. According to the caption posted by the original account, the creature had been brought down by a rocket strike prior to its capture, which opens up a whole separate line of questions. Namely, who launched it, and why they showed up already equipped to handle something like, late one night, somebody came face to face with this thing deep in the woods. Whatever brought them out there at that hour is anyone's guess, but what they encountered clearly shook them. The creature moved on all fours and was draped in dense, dark fur. At first glance, it resembled a dog, but the sheer scale of it put it in a completely different category from anything you'd normally encounter out in the wild. Its frame was enormous, and its movements were slow and measured, almost like it was sizing up whoever was watching. Now, opinions are pretty divided on what this thing actually is. A good number of people think it could be a wolf or an oversized stray, though even that explanation struggles to account for the size. Others are convinced this is something far stranger, a cryptid, maybe a dogman, or even something werewolf adjacent. Then there's a third camp that believes this could be some kind of mutated creature, something that simply shouldn't exist by any conventional understanding. So where do you stand? Is this just a large animal caught under unflattering conditions? Or did this person unknowingly wander into the territory of something that defies explanation?
Stop, please.
This next disturbing clip comes from a YouTuber who goes by D's Dark Adventures. What started as a straightforward solo hike on a quiet trail near the Appalachian Mountains turns into something far more unsettling when Dee begins to suspect she isn't out there alone. Whatever is out there seems to be mirroring her movements, advancing when she advances, stopping when she stops. And the further she pushes down the trail, the harder it becomes to deny that something is actively following her. And even once she escapes the woods, the situation doesn't exactly resolve itself. Here's what unfolded. The footage can be a little tricky to read at first.
Hi. Yep. I gotta get down. I can't go home. Please, I'm leaving. What is that? No! Fuck is it? Dude, no! It looks like a person, man. But no person. It looks like a fucking person. Stop. That ain't a person. Ah! It just keeps getting up and down. Stop! Fuck, I can't run. Ah! Somebody drive by.
But once the figure closes in on the edge of the tree line, you can clearly distinguish a shape hunched low in the darkness before it gradually pulls itself upright onto two legs. The motion is calculated, deeply unnerving, and undeniably bipedal, not how any ordinary animal carries itself. Dee's terror throughout the whole thing is completely raw. Every strained breath and tremor in her voice tells you this isn't an act. Even after she breaks into open space, she can't escape the sensation that something is still lurking just past the edge of her vision. The Appalachian region has always had an air of the unknown about it. Thick woodland, isolated valleys, and creatures that rarely let themselves be seen. But this feels like something else entirely, something that was watching her, trailing her, and moving in a way that no straightforward explanation seems to cover. So, what do you think was out there with Dee? A misidentified animal? Someone hiding among the trees? Or something that defies easy categorization? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The next clip has been spreading like wildfire across the internet, and it's not hard to see why. The footage is genuinely unsettling. It captures a woman standing completely motionless before slowly swaying backward, as though she'd fallen into some kind of hypnotic state. But what makes it truly disturbing is what's lurking directly behind her. A horned, demonic figure whose skeletal frame and nightmarish features make it clear this is no person wearing a mask. The creature appears to be holding the woman against its body while she remains in that trance-like state, suggesting this could be part of some kind of initiation or sacrificial ceremony. Whether that's actually the case is impossible to say, since the footage was posted online by an anonymous account with no explanation. What we do know is that whoever filmed this never intended for the rest of the world to see it. A group of friends appears in this footage, gathered outside on the streets late at night. You can see them chatting and enjoying themselves as the camera rolls. Moments later, the person recording starts trailing a group of men who walk by. None of them had any idea their evening was about to take a dark turn. Gnomes are legendary creatures, typically portrayed as tiny humanoid beings that dwell beneath the earth or deep within woodlands. Actual sightings are extremely uncommon, though they do surface in folklore and contemporary accounts, where people describe fleeting glimpses of small, bearded figures or peculiar movement in remote locations. What had begun as a relaxed night out quickly shifted into something deeply unsettling, as the sudden appearance of a small but far from innocent figure left the group wondering what exactly had been lurking. Tim decided to venture deep into an unsettling stretch of woodland, setting up his camp as darkness crept in. The atmosphere of the place was immediately off. The trees twisted at strange angles, giving the whole area an uncomfortable energy. Once night had fully settled, he arranged candles around a Ouija board and got to work. The glass began moving on its own.
Стакан дернулся. Духи этого леса, вы можете выйти со мной на контакт.
And a shadowy figure darted through the tree line. He'd also hung walkie-talkies around the area to try and make contact with whatever might be lurking out there. And then one of them, dangling from a branch overhead, started swinging without any wind, hissing with static. He stepped out of the tent, and it was still going. While he had his camera rolling, an unusual noise caught his attention, and what his second camera captured at that exact moment, you have to see for yourself. Something moved directly across the lens. It wasn't until later,
Фонарик, тень откуда-нибудь показалась.
when Tim sat down to go through all the footage, that he noticed something chilling. Whatever it was had been passing right behind him the entire time. At that point, Tim had seen more than enough, and he packed up and got out of there fast.
Снова какой-то шорох. Скрип. Сказала, уходи. Рация снова шатается. Сейчас проверю ее на Эми. Твою ж мать. Это не человек.
Bringing along a collection of deeply unsettling recordings. Whether any of this footage holds up as genuine is another matter entirely. Early one calm morning, something bizarre appeared at the shoreline, and it was far from ordinary debris. The creature was massive and pale, sporting a lengthy tail and arms that resembled those of a human. A crowd gathered almost instantly, holding up phones and shining flashlights, murmuring theories about what they were looking at. A few people thought it resembled a mermaid, while others weren't convinced. One thing was certain, it wasn't moving. Eventually, authorities arrived, hauled it onto a truck, and disappeared without a word. No press conference, no explanation, just complete silence. To this day, nobody has a definitive answer about what that thing actually was. Yet nobody who witnessed it has forgotten the morning something distinctly non-human came ashore. Bigfoot sightings tend to cluster in the northern hemisphere, with hotspots including the Himalayas, the Pacific Northwest of the United States, and Western Canada, which leads the world in reported encounters. One particularly compelling piece of footage was recorded by Chinese tourists visiting a local park in Mission, British Columbia. Deep in the tree line,
Sasquatch.
a large, shaggy, humanoid figure was spotted crouching near the edge of the road. Its movements appeared purposeful. It seemed to be rooting around in the ground, perhaps searching for something buried beneath the surface, or fashioning itself a place to rest. A group of Chinese tourists came across this bizarre scene, and rather than fleeing in terror, watched in wide-eyed amazement as they scrambled to get it all on camera. The footage was eventually uploaded to the Legend Tracker YouTube channel. Where it immediately divided opinion. Some viewers were convinced they were looking at a bear, while others insisted it could only be Bigfoot. Whatever it actually was, it's safe to say you wouldn't want to run into it out there. A woman decides to head deep into the woods alone late at night, camera rolling as she searches for something out of the ordinary. On January 18th, 2026, she found exactly that.
How did I get that?
Ha! That's big, guys. That's big. I'm telling you, if it stands up. That's big. That's big. That's big. I don't know how. That's big. I'm not doing it.
She drags her high-powered flashlight beam across the tree line, convinced she's picked up on something lurking nearby. At first, there's nothing obvious. Then it moves, drifting closer, and suddenly, two enormous, luminous eyes are staring back through the dark. They're set impossibly wide apart, hinting that whatever is behind them is no small animal. If you look closely at the footage, the faint suggestion of a dog-like face begins to take shape around those glowing orbs. The creature holds its gaze on her for several agonizing seconds before she starts retreating, clearly rattled, whispering that thing's big, "I'm not doing it." Afterward, she estimated the gap between its eyes was at least...
I'm not doing it. Nope. That's big, dude. No. Those eyes got like a foot. Okay.
a quarter of a foot across. She titled her video, "Giant Bigfoot Caught on Livestream," and while thousands of viewers watched it unfold in real time, the Bigfoot theory didn't land with most of them. The more popular opinion in the comments was that it resembled what people call a dogman. The frustrating part is how little we actually get to see, just a partial glimpse of the face and those reflective eyes, which makes any definitive identification nearly impossible. Eyeshine of that kind is generally a trait of creatures that operate after dark, so whatever she ran into clearly prefers the night. Which brings us back to the question nobody can fully answer. Was there truly something massive out there in that stretch of forest? And did she actually catch it watching her? On April 17th, 2021, a man walking along a Florida beach came across a peculiar carcass that had washed ashore. At first glance, he assumed it was some kind of fish or seal, but that assumption quickly fell apart the moment he got closer. The creature featured an unusual pair of double flippers, and stranger still, its upper half revealed an elongated, humanoid-looking skeleton, almost as if something straight out of mermaid mythology. By the time it was discovered, the carcass had been lying there long enough that decomposition had taken over most of it. Theories ranged from manatee to seal to whale baleen, yet nobody could say with any confidence what this thing actually looked like when it was still breathing.
It looks like feathers.
Calm down. This is actually one of the more well-known photographs floating around in cryptid communities, allegedly showing a massive creature that was killed and put on exhibit at an Arizona museum. The creature in question is said to be a thunderbird. Rooted in Native American mythology, the thunderbird is typically described as an enormous bird with a wingspan that can reach nearly 20 feet. Legend has it that when the creature flaps those colossal wings, it's capable of generating thunderstorms and lightning. Residents of Arizona have reported spotting birds of that scale soaring through the skies, particularly in the area around the Grand Canyon, and some of those encounters have occurred in relatively recent times. But one of the most talked about accounts dates back to the late 1800s, when two cowboys near Tombstone claimed to have come across a massive bird perched on a rocky outcropping out in the desert. They opened fire on it repeatedly and eventually managed to bring it down. According to the tale, they dragged the creature back to town and put it on display in a local shop so the townspeople could see it with their own eyes. And that's just the beginning. Over the decades, countless people have reported seeing enormous birds crossing the Arizona skies. Some describe them as resembling giant condors with broad feathered wings. Others were convinced the silhouette looked far more ancient, almost like a pterodactyl, drifting through the... Going to believe what you're about to see. From the moment it came into view, there was no mistaking just how colossal this animal was, dwarfing the tree standing right next to it. Reports put its weight at roughly 8,000 kilograms, which would place it among the largest of its kind ever recorded. To put that into perspective, a fully grown adult elephant typically tops out at around 6,300 kilograms. People couldn't help but draw comparisons to the ancient mammoths that once walked the earth. Was this somehow a rare remnant of a species long thought to be gone? Or could nature simply have produced something truly extraordinary? Either way, no one who laid eyes on this incredible beast could find the words to describe what they were witnessing. A man decided to go exploring in a wooded area close to a derelict structure. Once he arrived, he pulled out his camera and started filming. It was only when the footage was slowed down and magnified that things took a genuinely unsettling turn. Standing in one of the windows was a little girl with braided hair. The place had been completely abandoned, which makes it nearly impossible to explain how any child could have been in there. On top of that, the figure didn't quite look human. It appeared completely devoid of color. Whether this is computer-generated trickery or something paranormal, your guess is as good as mine. Deep in the forests of Turkey, two men stumbled upon something that will make your skin crawl. While trekking through the trees, they found their path blocked by something deeply unsettling. A dark figure with a ghostly white face and eyes that seemed to glow in the darkness. The thing was hunched low to the ground, its gaze locked directly onto them. Remarkably, the two men held their nerve, standing their ground while the creature simply observed them in silence. Several tense seconds ticked by without a single movement. Then, without any warning, it disappeared, only to materialize again just a short distance away. This time, it let out a piercing shriek. And that was all the convincing the men needed to turn and bolt. So what exactly were they dealing with out there? A forest spirit? Some kind of extraterrestrial visitor? A cryptid lurking in the Turkish wilderness? Those luminous eyes and that bleached, hollow face don't make it any easier to pin down. But one thing's certain, this is absolutely not what you want crossing your path during a late-night stroll through the woods.
Maruti kabilesinin başı mısın?
If you've ever laid eyes on a creature this enormous, one that fuses the raw power of two of nature's most terrifying big cats, among these colossal animals is Odin, a liger renowned for his extraordinary size and surprisingly calm temperament. Tipping the scales at over 900 pounds, he makes even the biggest lions and tigers look small by comparison. Simply being in his presence is enough to stop people in their tracks, a living reminder of what happens when two apex predators are crossed. Odin calls Myrtle Beach Safari home, and his sheer mass and strength have landed him a spot in the Guinness World Records. Those who visit get to witness firsthand why ligers hold the title of the largest cats on the planet, with Odin standing as one of the most iconic and breathtaking examples of all. A trail camera positioned deep in the forests of Harrison County, Indiana, was originally intended to photograph deer, but instead documented something far more unsettling. Activated by heat and movement in the dead of night, the camera caught a haunting figure, slender, standing upright, with eyes that seemed to glow. The phrase, "not deer," refers to entities that look somewhat like deer, but move in disturbing or unnatural ways, frequently tied to reports of paranormal phenomena. Some theorists suggest these beings are skinwalkers, malevolent spirits capable of mimicking animals to move undetected. And whatever this camera caught, it was anything but a deer. This footage isn't grainy, it isn't washed out. It's sharp, clear, and right in front of you. According to the story, a man pulled this creature from a drainage channel close to his home. Just look at it. A fish? Not exactly. The head is malformed, but shift your focus lower. Those are fingers, 5 of them. A hand that bears a striking resemblance to a human one. The way each finger bends, the way it clutches the net, it gets under your skin. In the original recording, which has since reportedly been taken down, the man appeared thrilled. He lifts the creature up toward the camera, laughing, saying something to whoever was filming. Then, without warning, the thing lurches and twists violently, throwing him off balance and sending him crashing to the ground. That's where the footage cuts off. Scientists, naturally, weren't impressed. Their explanations ranged from genetic mutation to an unusual birth abnormality. A few went further and suggested it was a masterfully crafted silicone prop. They noted that the scales don't quite look right, but those drawn to the unexplained wasted no time connecting it to Japan's Kappa legend, or to age-old stories of aquatic humanoids dwelling in places people never venture. They raise a pointed question. If this is nothing more than a fish, why pull the video down? What happened to the man after that fall? Did the creature somehow cause more than just a stumble? Are we staring at an elaborate fabrication, a grotesque accident of nature, or something that branched off the evolutionary path long ago? One that made its home in the dark, in the filth, beneath our feet. Below the surface, a group of divers moves through open water with slow, deliberate strokes, everything calm and unhurried. Then the surrounding ocean seems to shift, as though something vast and soundless has entered the space, and the sea itself goes still. An enormous sunfish glides into frame, its broad, disc-like body looking almost alien as it drifts past, making the nearby divers look tiny by comparison. Its fins cut through the water like great wings, turning what was a peaceful dive into a moment nobody down there will ever forget. That's the thing about the ocean. One second it's serene, and the next, it's introducing you to something absolutely colossal. Fresh footage from Loch Ness has reignited the age-old debate surrounding the mysterious creature said to dwell beneath its dark waters. Captured on May the 26th. 2007, the recording shows an unidentified object moving through Loch Ness in a way that's difficult to explain. Opinions among experts and enthusiasts remain sharply split. Some are convinced it's the legendary water horse, while others point to far more ordinary explanations. The clip has once again drawn worldwide attention, leaving countless viewers asking whether the Loch Ness monster is truly out there, or whether this is simply another case of something ordinary being mistaken for something extraordinary. So what's your take? Is this genuine evidence of a monster, or just one more case of mistaken identity? In the following video, a woman is casually filming herself in the mirror, checking her appearance with her phone light on, like it's any other normal moment. Nothing seems out of place at first, until a loud banging noise suddenly echoes from somewhere else in the house. Her expression changes instantly. She turns the camera and slowly walks toward the sound, her footsteps cautious. The noise leads her up the stairs, and by the time she reaches the top, her breathing is noticeably heavier, a mix of nerves and adrenaline. She pauses in front of the attic door for a moment before finally pulling it open. The attic is completely empty. No movement, no animals, no loose objects that could explain the sound. She scans the space with the camera, clearly confused and shaken, before backing away. Whatever caused the banging had completely vanished, leaving her alone with the unsettling realization that the noise came from somewhere she couldn't explain at all. Sam is a member of staff at the Jefferson Hotel, a place that's already gained a reputation for a surge of unexplained activity over the past few months, and this clip only adds to it. He shared this CCTV footage after another strange incident left him completely shaken. Take a look.
Here's the shirt pulling episode. Right now we're talking about the footage, and look at my shirt right there in the middle, and watch what happens. Right there. So we both react, and you can see right here, I'll do it in slow motion and show you. Right there, hold on. Right there. The shirt just gets pulled a little bit. And then, here's our reactions. I gotta turn it down because there's some cussing going on, because we were in such disbelief. But you'll be able to see, I'm like trying to describe to her the feeling I got. It was such a weird feeling. And again, I can't say it's anything paranormal. In my opinion, I think it was, just because of the events that happened and the feeling everybody got, and of course that movement was really...
The camera shows the hotel kitchen looking quiet and empty, except for Sam and his wife standing side by side in the middle, casually talking while the rest of the room stays completely still. For a moment, nothing seems out of place. Then, without any warning, the fabric on Sam's shirt suddenly shifts and tugs outward, as if something invisible had grabbed it. The movement is quick but unmistakable, pulling hard enough to catch both of their attention instantly. Sam freezes and looks down in disbelief, while his wife looks equally shocked, clearly confused, and trying to process what she just saw. There's no breeze, no one else in the kitchen, and nothing nearby that could have caused it. They both scan the room, visibly unsettled, realizing whatever touched him wasn't visible on camera. Given the Jefferson Hotel's growing list of similar incidents, this footage only fuels speculation that something unseen is still actively moving through the building. And according to Sam, this was far from the last strange thing to happen there. Really early into the morning, CCTV footage captured inside what appears to be a salon or training space shows something unsettling happening in the early hours of the morning. It's around 4 a.m., long after anyone should be inside the building, and the room is completely still. However, the camera in the room suddenly detects motion, and what it shows is terrifying. Without warning, the fire exit door slowly opens on its own, revealing nothing but darkness behind it. No one enters, no movement can be seen, yet the door remains open for a moment before calmly closing itself again, inch by inch, as if someone unseen was pulling it shut. Just when things seem to settle, one of the mannequin heads lined neatly on the shelves suddenly tips over and falls. Seconds later, several items on the counter beneath are knocked to the floor in quick succession, as if something had swept across the surface. There's no explanation for the chain reaction, and no one is visible anywhere in the footage. Whoever or whatever opened that door clearly didn't leave quietly and wanted to be noticed by the owners. Who knows what action this will cause them to take? A father is always going to respond when their baby cries, especially in the middle of the night when the house is meant to be silent. That's exactly what Matt did when loud, panicked crying suddenly echoed through the hallway, sounding exactly like it was coming from his son's room. Without thinking twice, he rushed out of his bedroom, not knowing the living room camera was already recording what happened next.
Good.
As Matt runs down the hall, something disturbing appears in the corner of the footage. A small, nearly transparent figure, shaped like a young boy, darts around the corner and vanishes out of sight. Matt follows it instinctively, clearly focused on getting to his child, but when he reaches the spot where it disappeared, there's nothing there. No movement, no sound, just an empty hallway. Moments later, his wife confirms on camera that their baby is fast asleep, not crying at all. That's when the reality sinks in. The sound that pulled Matt out of bed didn't come from his son, and whatever ran through the house wasn't supposed to be there. The footage ends shortly after, but Matt later said he hasn't been able to explain the crying or the figure since, and the camera catching it only made the experience harder to ignore. Mr. Fender was filming a regular TikTok, nothing paranormal intended, just showing his followers how powerful his new lights were. He headed out into the woods at night to demonstrate the brightness properly, completely unaware of what was about to be revealed.
The lights are definitely functional, but unfortunately I live in a city and there are street lights everywhere. But I can find a place to go test them. Okay, I found some really dark woods. I just put some tinfoil over the reverse lights. So I'm going to show you what the stock reverse lights look like, and then I'm going to uncover them and show you what the added reverse lights look like.
These are the stock reverse lights.
Literally can't see anything.
And these are the ones I just installed. Look how friggin' bright that is. This is amazing. Yeah, so these are not just for looks.
As he switches the light on, the beam floods the trees ahead, lighting up the area far more than expected. For a split second, something horrifying is visible. Wrapped tightly around the trunk of a tree just ahead is what looks unmistakably like a human arm, pale and thin, clinging to the bark. Almost immediately, as the light fully hits it, the arm pulls back behind the tree and disappears from view. Mr. Fender keeps talking, completely oblivious, continuing his demonstration like nothing happened. But viewers noticed it instantly. The comments flooded in, people replaying the clip frame by frame, all pointing out the same thing he never saw. There was no one else with him, no prank, no explanation for how an arm could be there and vanish that fast. The woods were silent, and Mr. Fender never reacted, making the moment even more disturbing. Whatever was hiding behind that tree clearly did not want to be seen. and the only reason anyone knows it was there at all is because the light was just a little too effective. He was out in nature filming quietly by himself, standing beside a wide river with a slow, almost glassy current. What immediately stood out was how silent everything felt. No birds, no insects, nothing you'd normally expect to hear in a place like this. That kind of silence is what made him start recording in the first place. He slowly turns the camera toward the opposite side of the river, focusing on a hill covered in dense trees and thick shrubbery, just scanning the landscape and explaining that something felt off.
Hay gente que hay. Mira, les voy a mostrar algo. Vine a pescar a un lugar muy escondido, pero ya me empezó a dar miedo porque mira cómo está. Y tengo rato que siento que algo me está siguiendo y se escuchan las ramas tronar. Y creo que encontré, si no es el hijo de Pie Grande, es el hijo de King Kong. Tiene rato mirándome, mira. Mira. Por favor, no van a decir que no lo ven. No mames, ya me voy a la verga. Ánimo.
As he zooms in, a strange figure becomes visible within the trees. It's hard to make out and stays idle. The shape doesn't look like a regular animal, and it's far too large to be a person given how remote the area is. The camera shakes slightly as he tries to keep it in frame, clearly realizing he's caught something unusual. After the clip, the man said he left the area immediately, shaken by how quiet it had been and how closely the figure resembled a Sasquatch. Many who've seen the footage believe it could be Sasquatch, especially given the size, posture, and the unnatural stillness of the forest right before it appeared. The following clip comes from a Ring doorbell camera recording late one night at around 10 p.m. when everything seemed completely normal at first. The camera was doing its usual job, pointed toward the porch, with the quiet road stretching out ahead under dim streetlights. Nothing looked out of place, and there was no movement for a while. That didn't last though. As the footage continues, something slowly comes into view at the edge of the frame. A strange, ghost-like figure appears near the road, pale and semi-transparent, moving in an unnatural way that doesn't resemble a person walking by. Almost at the same time, a bright orb drifts across the camera's view, floating smoothly past the lens before disappearing. The figure continues forward, crossing part of the driveway as if it hasn't noticed the camera at all. It doesn't turn its head, doesn't react, just keeps moving until it eventually fades out of view down the road. There were no neighbors outside, no cars passing, and nothing else on the camera that could explain what was captured. The homeowners later checked outside immediately after the alert and found absolutely nothing there. Whatever walked past that Ring camera that night didn't leave footprints, shadows, or any explanation behind, making this one of the creepiest doorbell clips currently circulating. For anyone new here, Ian is a well-known ghost hunter who spent years documenting some of the most unsettling abandoned locations across the Midwest. And this next clip is a direct continuation of his exploration inside the same notoriously haunted factory. By this point, the activity had already escalated, but what happens next is one of the strangest moments he's ever caught.
Dude, how do you explain that? This thing does not look easy to move. Not at all. Yeah, dude, this thing, there's no way. There's no way. Oh, dude. What the f? Wait a minute. Are you taking that thing? Oh my God. All right, that's it. I'm done. Oh my gosh. That thing is freaking moving all over the damn place. Dude, that was so insane.
The old cart rattles back to life once again. Could this be the ghost of the tannery worker taunting me to leave his area?
All right, I'm gonna let you get back to work, okay? Holy shit.
Ian is filming deep inside the factory, slowly scanning the room, thinking about how heavy and oppressive the atmosphere feels, when his camera lands on a large metal cart, sitting completely still on the concrete floor. There's no wind, no slope, nothing around it. As he continues talking, the cart suddenly shifts, then begins sliding across the floor on its own, as if someone invisible had grabbed it and pulled. Ian immediately reacts, backing up while keeping the camera locked on it, showing there's no one nearby and nothing attached to it. The movement is smooth and deliberate, not a sudden jolt or vibration, which makes it even harder to explain away. Moments like this are why Ian believes this factory is one of the most active locations he's ever investigated, and judging by what follows later in the video, whatever was moving that cart wasn't done interacting with him yet. In the following video, a duo of friends armed with flashlights were exploring an abandoned building late at night, hoping to capture whatever had been making the strange noises they kept hearing on earlier visits. It was only supposed to be a quick sweep through the corridors, but things escalated fast when they turned a corner. As they walk down a narrow hallway, their flashlights sweeping across peeling walls and scattered debris, they turn a corner and immediately freeze. Just ahead of them, a ghost-like figure floats upward, rising silently until it disappears completely out of sight above the doorway. The light catches just enough of it to show its shape before it vanishes, leaving the two friends completely stunned. They stand in that corner for a long moment, clearly unsettled, trying to figure out if they really saw what they think they saw. Eventually, they gather the courage to move forward and check the spot where the figure disappeared. But when they round the corner, the space is completely empty, no stairs, no ledges, nothing that something could have climbed or stood on. Whatever floated upward was gone, leaving them with no explanation at all. The next piece of footage was taken on the 17th of October 2012, right in the middle of the day, and it comes from a man named Michael, who insists he was completely alone in the house at the time. For about 10 minutes straight, he kept hearing footsteps going up and down his staircase, the kind of loud, clear steps you'd expect from a full-grown adult. Eventually, he grabbed his camera and started recording, because the sounds simply wouldn't stop, and he hoped to catch them as proof.
Okay, it's like the middle of the day. I'm the only person in the house, and just heard some footsteps going up and down the stairs. I've checked all the rooms. There is nobody in. It's been doing it for about 10 minutes. There it is again. Okay. Not camera this time. Nothing there though. Hello? Mike? Charlie?
As soon as he starts filming, you can hear it on camera too, that repetitive thudding of someone pacing the stairs. Michael walks out of his room and points the camera directly at the staircase, but there's nothing there. No movement, no shadows, nothing that explains the noise. Still, the footsteps continue, even while he's staring straight at the stairs. Suddenly, the sound changes. Whatever's on those stairs runs all the way up at full speed, but nothing ever appears in frame. Then, right at the top, the door slams shut, hard enough to shake Michael, stands frozen for a few seconds before finally building up the courage to go inside the room. It turns out to be nothing more than the bathroom, completely empty, no windows open, no one inside, no reason for anything he heard. After this incident, Michael admitted he's now looking to sell the home altogether. A man is standing just outside his bedroom, filming because he claims something in the house has been responding to him whenever he speaks in his native language. He's clearly unsettled, but he keeps the camera rolling as he talks quietly toward the dark hallway, almost as if he's addressing someone he can't see. Little do we know at this point that there is definitely someone there.
Voy a tratar de comunicarme con este ente como me dijeron. Se sienten pasos. Si estás acá, prende la luz. ¿Qué? Si estás aquí en el baño, enciende de nuevo el agua. ¿Hay alguien más que tú aquí en esta casa? Mi vida corre peligro. Te huellando. Aquí no hay... No, yo me voy.
As he's speaking, the shower in the bathroom beside him suddenly turns itself on, spraying water for a second, before shutting off again. He stops mid-sentence, confused, and walks toward the door. The moment he steps inside, it happens a second time, the shower turning on and off, as if something is reacting to his presence. He stays there, wondering if it would happen again, and as expected, the shower triggers a third time, then a fourth, each burst short and deliberate like someone unseen is flicking the tap. Finally, he pulls the shower curtain aside to check for anything that could have caused it. But there's nothing. No loose pipe, no faulty handle, nothing in the tub. Whatever was answering him wasn't something he could see, but it was definitely listening. In the follow-up clip, Franco is still in the same house, this time sitting in his own bedroom with the camera pointed upward as he tries to calm himself after the shower incident. He earlier explained that things haven't stopped since that night, and the second he begins to film, the reasons become obvious. Above him, the ceiling light begins to sway back and forth, slowly at first, like something barely nudged it. Franco keeps filming, well aware that there's no draft, no windows open, nothing that could make it move. But then it starts swinging faster, almost violently, like someone was pushing it from side to side. He tried to stay steady, breathing hard, when something else happened out of nowhere. His bedroom door begins to close on its own, not slamming, but gently, almost politely, until it clicks shut. Franco freezes for a moment before finally mustering up the courage to stand and open it. The second he does, he jumps back in fear as his cat is suddenly sitting right at the threshold, staring up at him. The timing couldn't have been worse, and it terrified him even more. The activity hasn't stopped at all, and Franco is running out of explanations. In the third and most unsettling clip, Franco is back in the same bedroom again, determined to catch whatever has been lurking in his house. He points the camera toward the same doorway where the earlier activity happened, explaining that he keeps hearing movement outside his room late at night. Things escalate quickly.
Hay ruido en el primer piso. Está...
As he films the doorway, something faint moves at the very top of the staircase that leads downstairs. A dark, odd shadow briefly peeks around the corner, just enough to be seen before sliding out of sight again. Franco is very frightened and clearly shaken, but before he even has time to react properly, his bedroom door begins to shut once more. This time it doesn't slam or jolt. It closes normally, smoothly, almost deliberately, like someone was standing behind it and pushing it shut with care. Franco panics and immediately runs to pull the door back open, swinging the camera around the hallway. But just like every other moment in this house, there's nothing. No footsteps, no movement, no one who could have been responsible other than his white cat, who wouldn't have appeared so dark. Whatever is haunting Franco's home isn't done with him yet, and this clip only made things even more disturbing. Luke had been hearing strange voices around his house for a few nights in a row, and this time he finally worked up the nerve to start filming to prove he wasn't imagining it. He sets his camera on the doorway in front of him, trying to capture any sound or movement that might happen. Take a look.
I'm still hearing voices. Listen. Jesus Christ.
For a few seconds, everything is still. The room quiet, except for Luke's uneasy explanation. Then, from somewhere, just out of frame, another door in his room suddenly shuts on its own. It's loud enough that the camera picks it up clearly, even though it's completely off-screen. Luke jumps back with a genuinely shocked reaction, his words showing fear, but there's nothing. No wind, no movement, no shadows, just a door that somehow shut itself while he was lying right there. His reaction alone makes it clear he wasn't expecting it, and whatever voice he'd been hearing before clearly wasn't finished, making itself known. In the follow-up clip, Luke is on edge again because he starts hearing whispering near his room and decides to record once more, convinced that whatever had closed the door before is still around. As he films the room, a strange scattering sound begins coming from inside the walls, quick and uneven, like something crawling behind the plaster. At first, he tries to convince himself it might be a rodent, something normal, something that would at least make sense. But the longer he films, the more wrong it feels, because the scattering stops suddenly and is replaced by a clear whisper that comes from the far side of the room, nowhere near Luke, and definitely not from the walls. It's unmistakably human, low and intentional, and Luke's breathing picks up as he looks around at the empty room. Whatever is in that house with him is not an animal, and it's definitely not his imagination. Luke is still recording when he suddenly goes quiet, because 3 slow knocks hit his bedroom door, spaced out like someone is deliberately trying to get his attention. He stares at the door without moving, waiting to see if it was just the house settling, but then it happens again, the exact same pattern, a little louder this time. Luke takes a deep breath, trying to steady himself, whispering that he doesn't want to open it. Before he can even finish speaking, another round of knocks hits the door, faster now, almost impatient, followed by a final series that's even more aggressive, as if whatever is outside is getting bolder. He stays frozen, the camera shaking slightly in his hand, because the worst part is that he knows for a fact no one else is home. Elderly woman decided to film a short Q&A at home after viewers in her previous videos suggested there might be something wrong with her house. Sitting comfortably in her chair, she answered questions as someone behind the camera read them out loud. It all seemed harmless, with her voice being calm, the tone light-hearted, but the atmosphere in the room said otherwise.
Like there's things that are flying off the shelves and things.
I saw it once. Yeah, I saw it once.
Alright, we're going one more. This is from a lady called Miss Butterfly Lady. The ghosts are pissed off with the clutter in your house. So she's saying your house is very messy. Can you explain why your house is messy?
I'm waiting to go out to see to the new year, and the house is messy because Nathan, who is my young son, he would
grandson.
Help clear it up.
Grandson. I'm your grandson then.
My grandson, I mean.
Yeah, so you wouldn't help clear it up. Alright then. So there was one more question. A lady said, there's a lot of booze in your house. You know the bottles you got over there? She said, can you explain why you got so many bottles?
Well, I don't drink it myself. I collect them in. When somebody gives me some more, win it in a raffle.
How old did you say they are though?
How old were they?
Yeah, how old would you say all those bottles are?
Well, I don't know. There seemed to be a lot there. But I've got rid of some of it.
Oh, they're quite old though, aren't they?
Yeah, very old.
So yeah, we got 100,000 views. We got now 368 3,600 followers, subscribers. Can you say any final words to the people, the 120,000 people that saw the video last year on this exact day, as it's today is the 31st of December 2019, and tomorrow will be New Year's Eve. Tomorrow will be New Year's Day. So it's exactly a year ago it happened today, so we're doing an anniversary. So can you go?
I think it's all a load of bullshit.
Alright then. Alright, you got anything else to say to the people before we go?
Just what I said. What I said. I didn't mean to swear, but...
You don't like the internet and Wi-Fi and YouTube?
No, I don't get on with anything like that.
In the background, a string of Christmas lights began flickering at odd intervals, not like a loose connection, but in an uneven rhythm that drew attention once viewers noticed. Near those lights sat a small Santa ornament, perfectly still for most of the video, until the final moments. Towards where the clip ends, the Santa's arm twitches slightly, and several times, just enough to be noticed if you're really watching. The woman didn't seem to realize what was happening behind her, smiling and wrapping things up as the recording cut. But commenters were quick to point it out, with many saying they'd seen the same small movements in her past videos too. Whether it was a trick of the light or something else moving on its own, it left people uneasy, especially knowing she still lives there completely alone. The clip begins with someone quietly zooming in down a dimly lit hallway outside their bedroom door. Everything looks still at first, the camera steady, the only sound being faint breathing. But hanging on the wall, halfway down the corridor, is a guitar, and it's moving.
Look at it. It's fucking moving. Look. It's my hand.
At first, it swings lightly, almost like it's reacting to air movement, but the longer the camera lingers, the more it shifts. The swinging grows wider, faster, until the sways are indistinguishable. Then, without warning, the motion turns violent. The body of the guitar starts hitting the wall repeatedly, the banging echoing through the hallway. The person filming doesn't move, too stunned to speak, just letting the recording run as the instrument keeps slamming back and forth like it's being pulled by something unseen. Eventually, the noise stops as suddenly as it began, the guitar coming to rest against the wall again. There was no explanation, no reaction, just the quiet aftermath of something that clearly shouldn't have been able to move at all. A man had just been woken up by loud banging somewhere in his house and decided to start filming to catch what was going on. The video begins with him sitting up in bed, the camera shaking slightly as he listens. The strange noises continue, muffled but close, almost like they're coming from inside the walls themselves. He hesitates for a moment, then gets up, his footsteps quite against the floor. When he opens his bedroom door, it creaks loudly, the sound echoing through the still house. Breathing heavily, he steps into the corridor, following the noises to a small room on the other side of the wall they seem to come from. The hallway light flickers as he switches it on, throwing uneven shadows across the floor. He pauses outside the door, hand trembling on the handle, before finally pulling it open. Inside, the room is almost completely dark except for the faint glow from the hallway. But in that light, something can be seen sitting on the floor. It's a jester figure, fake but unsettling. its painted smile catching just enough light to look real. It sits perfectly still, propped against the sofa, facing the wall. The man doesn't speak, just stands there breathing hard, the camera locked on it. The clip ends shortly after, time-stamped at just before midnight. Perhaps the jester had something to do with the noises. The next part of the story came not from the man himself, but from his basement CCTV camera. He had completely forgotten that he'd left the jester figure sitting exactly how it was the night before. But early the next evening, around the same time, he received a motion alert on his phone from that camera. Curious and a little uneasy, he opened the live feed to check. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. He saw just the same dark basement with the jester still sitting there against the wall. But as the footage played, faint shadows began to shift around beside it, moving like someone was pacing slowly just out of frame. The shadows flickered and stretched, but there was no visible person causing them. The motion sensor light didn't react either, as if whatever was moving wasn't physically there. He watched in silence, barely breathing, as one of the shadows seemed to lean closer to the jester, then vanish completely. The camera stayed recording for another few seconds before going still again. Nobody entered, nobody left, yet the shadows had clearly been there. It left him wondering if the noises that woke him the night before hadn't come from inside the walls after all, but from something that was still sharing his home, and now watching from below. A few nights later, more CCTV footage surfaced from the same basement, only this time, things looked different. The jester, which had been left untouched since the last recording, was no longer sitting in the same way. Instead of facing straight ahead, its head was now tilted sharply downward, chin almost resting on its chest. The man swore he hadn't moved it. Nobody had even gone down there. The camera kept recording in silence, the jester's shadow stretching long across the floor. Then, without warning, the feed jolted violently. The camera shook once, as if something had brushed against it, before toppling from its stand and hitting the floor. The screen turned sideways, showing only the irrelevant parts of the basement. There was no sign of movement, no one entering or leaving the frame, yet the fall was sudden and deliberate. Later that night, the man posted an update saying he'd been watching the footage live when it happened, and the moment the camera dropped, the lights upstairs flickered too. He hasn't been back into the basement since. Instead, he's been in contact with local buyers, hoping to sell the house entirely. He says he doesn't even care about losing money, he just wants to leave before whatever's in that basement decides to come upstairs. CCTV footage taken late one night shows a long, dimly lit hallway stretching deep into the building. At first, it seems completely empty, with just the faint hum of the overhead lights and the quiet static of the camera feed. But then, a pale white figure begins to take shape at the far end.
That's pretty good. How can we do that?
This looks like she's floating, Bob. Is that it?
Oh god, that gives me the creeps.
Yep.
It doesn't walk or move like a person. Rather, it floats, gliding slowly forward with no sound, no footsteps, and no shadow beneath it. The figure drifts toward the corner before turning and disappearing completely from view. Seconds later, the feed cuts to another camera inside a nearby room. The same floating shape is now there, before it glides out again. When the security team reviewed the footage, they were reportedly terrified. None of the motion sensors in that area had triggered, and there were no signs of forced entry. Whatever it was, it moved freely through locked doors and cameras, as if the walls themselves didn't exist. It was a quiet evening in the house with nothing moving, and more importantly, no one home. This piece only lasted until the kitchen camera caught something unexpected. The room sat still for several minutes before, without warning, two cupboards pulled themselves wide open at the exact same time. They didn't inch open slowly like from air pressure. They jolted outward abruptly, stopping halfway as if pulled by invisible hands. Just as the cupboard stopped moving, the entire house alarm began blaring. The sudden noise echoed through the footage, the sound ringing as if someone had triggered a sensor or forced entry. But there was nobody there. The doors were still locked, the windows closed, and the motion system hadn't detected a single living thing. By the time the homeowners returned, the alarm had reset itself, and everything in the kitchen was back in place, except the cupboards still hanging open, almost like a reminder that whatever caused it didn't plan on leaving quietly. Two girls were on a late-night road trip, laughing and singing along to music as their car cruised down an empty stretch of highway. The air was quiet outside, their headlights cutting through the fog that hung low across the road. This was the route locals called the Haunted Highway, known for the woman in white said to appear walking along it at night. They joked about it earlier, not really believing the stories, but that was not for long.
I want to know why she's so fancy. I think I see her. Do you actually? Unless that's just a light post, but it looks like something white over there. Oh yeah. No, you guys, we're getting haunted. That's no. She turned. Or wait, did she? She's walking yet.
As they turned a corner, one of them suddenly alerted the others that they saw her. The other looked up just in time to catch a glimpse of a faint figure ahead, dressed all in white, standing near the side of the road. Her posture was strange as she moved. The girl driving sped up, panicking, and the figure disappeared from sight as they passed. They looked back, hearts pounding, but the road was empty again. No car, no person, just the echo of tires on pavement. Whether it was someone real or the spirit people warned about, neither of them spoke for the rest of the drive. A guy is lying on his bed in the next clip, breathing heavily as he films himself, and explains he's been hearing knocking sounds coming from his closet for the past few minutes. He's clearly scared, but trying to stay calm, talking quietly while keeping the camera pointed toward the closet door.
I just heard knocking from the closet.
The moment he mentions the knocking, a loud, sharp knock echoes from inside the closet, so loud that he jumps and freezes in place. He slowly gets out of bed and walks toward it, breathing deeply as he inches closer. Just before his hand reaches the handle, another knock hits the door, this one quicker and just as forceful, almost like whatever's inside is responding directly to him. He swings the door open and films every corner of the closet, but it's completely empty. No movement, no shadows, nothing out of place. He steps back into the hallway, trying to process what just happened, when suddenly the door across from the closet slams shut on its own. He spins around in panic, but the room is empty. No one there. This entire sequence makes it seem like whatever was knocking wasn't confined to the closet at all, and it wasn't done trying to get his attention. Celsa set up a CCTV camera in her daughter's room because something had been keeping the little girl awake night after night, and they wanted to finally see what was going on. The footage she shared was recorded just before 6 in the evening, long before bedtime, which made what happened even stranger. The room looks completely normal at first, sunlight still coming through the curtains, but every few seconds, small orbs drift across the frame, floating in different directions, as if they have their own movement. Her daughter is lying on the bed, fast asleep, totally unaware of what the camera is picking up. Then, right at the end of the clip, the duvet at the foot of the bed pulls downward in a single, smooth tug. The girl doesn't move, and nothing is visible touching it. The blanket shifts a few inches, as if someone grabbed it from below, then it settles back into place. There's no one in the room with her, and the orbs from earlier make the moment feel even more unsettling. For Celsa, this confirmed that her daughter wasn't imagining things, and something in that room might actually be interacting with her when no one else is around. Here's where things get even stranger. A second CCTV camera in the living room was recording close to 9 at night, and this time the entire house was empty. There's no movement on the furniture, no shadows passing by, nothing that should be causing any disturbances. But in the hallway beyond the living room, something small keeps peeking out every so often. It leans into view for a split second, almost like a head or a tiny figure, then pulls back into the darkness. It happens repeatedly throughout the footage, always quick enough that you'd miss it if you weren't watching closely. With nobody home and nothing in the house that could explain it, the hallway sightings left Celsa even more convinced that whatever tugged the duvet upstairs might be moving freely through other parts of the home too. In the final clip of the saga, Celsa's daughter is asleep again, this time in the middle of the day. It's just after 1 in the afternoon, bright outside. Nothing that should make the room feel unsettling at all. But then something strange happens, so take a look. The camera is pointed at the bed the same way as before. Everything is calm at first, then something beside her shifts in a way that's different from the earlier tug caught on camera. Something small seems to move across the fabric, almost like a tiny eye twitching for a moment before disappearing. It's impossible to tell exactly what it is, but the motion is clear, and it isn't the girl, who stays completely still the whole time. The movement is subtle but unmistakable, the kind that makes your stomach drop, because it shouldn't be happening at all. After everything else caught in this house, this final clip feels like the most direct sign yet that something is actually on the bed with her, even in broad daylight, and whatever has been disturbing her hasn't gone anywhere. A man was out in his backyard when he noticed something moving deep in the woodlands behind his house. Something subtle enough that at first he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him, but when it happened again, he pulled out his phone and started filming just in case.
Hi, it's me again. I'm just calling just to let you know. I've seen that thing again in the backyard. I've got the camera on. I'm trying to capture it. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to see if I can get it. Anyway, give me a call when you get this message. Bye. No! What is that? No way. No. What is that? No way. Yeah, it's me. I've just seen that thing. I've actually got it on camera. I'll show you when you get home. Give me a call as soon as you get this message.
After a few seconds of watching from the yard, he decides to rush back inside and run upstairs for a better angle from the window. When he zooms in from the second floor, that's when he finally catches it clearly enough to make his voice go shaky. Something strange glides across the tree line. Not solid, not fully visible, but not invisible either. It looks like a distortion in the air, the way heat waves ripple, except this moves with purpose, almost shaped like someone walking, but completely transparent. You can see the trees through it, yet the outline is unmistakable as it drifts between them. It doesn't behave like an animal or a shadow, and it's too defined to be a camera glitch. The man stays silent for a few seconds, before calling someone and letting them know. But whatever it is just keeps moving until it fades behind the thicker trees. Whatever was in those woods wasn't trying to hide, but it definitely wasn't something he could understand. A group of friends were hanging out home alone for the night, just talking and messing around, when they suddenly heard something fall in one of the rooms down the hall. At first they laughed it off, but when it happened again they all went quiet and called out hello, asking if someone was there, even though they knew nobody else was in the house. The noises kept coming in short bursts, like objects shifting around on their own, so they finally grabbed a phone and decided to check it out together.
¿Están escuchando? Soy yo. Se están escuchando mazo de ruidos, tú. Yo vine del baño.
No vayas, estás loco,
Hermano.
¿Qué es lo que quiere que vayas?
Vale,
venga, poco a poco, tío. Una polla.
Una polla.
Una polla. No. Para.
Para internet, hermano, ¿qué haces? ¿Estás loco? Se está escuchando desde el hermano.
Escúchame, pon internet ahí.
¿Hola?
Una polla. Hermano, esto da mucho mal rollo,
¿Hay alguien ahí?
No.
Hermano.
Tira, vamos a ver lo que.
Hermano, no.
Acércate un poco más. Tira. Asoma la cámara. Acércate lo que hay, Vale, ahí no hay nada. Nada ahí. ¡Hostia puta!
¡Corre, hermano! ¡Corre! What the fuck?
They peek round the bathroom door slowly, joking nervously as they film. But the second the camera tilts toward the bath, their voices drop instantly. Reflected in the glass is an uncanny face staring back at them, not shaped like any of theirs, not human in a way that makes your stomach twist. The eyes look too wide, the smile too sharp, and it's in a place where nobody in the group was physically standing. One of them runs away in pure panic before they all sprint back down the hallway. Whatever they caught in that room wasn't a prank. And it wasn't any of them. It was something else watching them from the darkness of the bathroom. Jason was trying to grab a late bite at the subway inside Memorial Hospital, a place that already had a reputation for ghost sightings over the years. Nurses had talked about strange footsteps, flickering lights, and even a little girl seen wandering the halls long after visiting hours. Jason didn't really believe any of it, but while waiting for a member of staff to show up, he decided to film the empty place just to show how eerie the place was.
Alright, we're at Subway at Memorial Hospital, and there's been reports of ghost activity. Maybe we'll get lucky and capture a ghost. It's the ghost of a little girl. Oh my god, there she was!
For the first few seconds, nothing happens, just the hum of the machines and the glow of the fluorescent lights. Then out of nowhere a blur sprints across the frame, low to the ground, and fast enough that you only catch the shape for a moment before it disappears behind a counter. Jason jumps, but there's nobody there at all. No footsteps, no signs of movement, no child in sight. The blur almost resembles a small figure, and with the hospital's old stories about a little girl spirit roaming the cafeteria after dark, people started calling this clip the clearest proof yet. Whatever rushed past Jason wasn't a customer, wasn't a worker, and definitely wasn't human. A man was home alone while his daughter slept in the next room, editing something on his phone, when he suddenly heard a single piano key echo from his daughter's playroom. He grabbed his camera and walked quietly toward his daughter's room first, making sure she hadn't gotten up, but she was still fast asleep, and nothing seemed out of place. He waited in the doorway, listening, trying to convince himself it was just settling wood or a toy shifting.
It always gets crazy when I'm here by myself. Or when my daughter's sleeping. But, see? I told you. I want her piano again. Hello? See, there's her piano. Don't mind her room. She has so many damn toys. You gotta clean up like every day in here. Hello? But at least y'all caught that part. Yo. Nope, I'm good. Nope, I'm good. Shut that. I'm telling you, every time I'm here by myself, man. See, look, her piano's still going off in there, man.
Then the piano plays itself again, a different note this time, loud enough to make him flinch. Before he can even react, a toy robot sitting on the trampoline beside the piano suddenly activates on its own, even though nobody touched it. The man doesn't wait to see what happens next. He turns around instantly and walks straight out of the room, clearly done with whatever had just decided to wake up in the middle of the night. David, an Italian ghost hunter fluent in English, had been exploring what his client claimed could possibly be one of the most haunted houses in the area when something strange made him start recording. He explained that just moments before filming, a plant in the corner had shifted on its own and the chandelier above him had started to sway.
Okay, TikTok. I'm in another fucking haunted house, I swear. This plant just moved and the chandelier. My client went out to town, elderly guy, but he was here alone, but he has a lot of these artifacts here. I don't think I have an attachment or anything. But yeah. Whoa, what the hell? This is what I'm talking about. You guys heard that?
As he continues talking to the camera, a loud sound of a door slamming closed can be heard somewhere deeper in the house, more than likely upstairs. David looks around, while behind him the chandelier begins to swing again, more noticeably this time. The movement is slow, deliberate, and eerily timed with each sound coming from elsewhere in the house. He stands still for a few seconds, narrating the video, clearly unsure of what to do next. This investigation doesn't stop here though. This story will continue in a future video on my channel. Subscribe. The following video begins with the sound of deep, uneasy breathing. A man is filming from his bed, phone trembling slightly in his hand. From downstairs, a woman's voice can be heard calling out the words, "Babe, come downstairs," over and over, each time sounding a little more impatient.
What the
Alexa, turn on all lights.
I couldn't find any enabled video skills
Really?
to do that. Go to the Alexa
Thanks,
app
Alexa.
to manage your video skills and devices.
Then, the sound of a door opening and closing echoes through the house. The man knows that nobody else should be home, and the clip abruptly switches to CCTV, footage from downstairs, showing a door near the hallway swinging open on its own before slowly shutting again. The woman's voice stops entirely after that, replaced by something much more chilling. A faint, mechanical tune that sounds like it's coming from a toy somewhere in the man's room. The camera shakes as he pans around trying to find the source, and the eerie, dollhouse-like melody keeps looping, echoing through the silence. The man doesn't speak again after that, just films in disbelief as the sound continues until the video cuts, leaving viewers wondering if the voice that called him down was ever really human. The next clip from this story shows Ali's prayer mat, and he starts his explanation saying the story took place whilst he was praying. He explains in a low voice the eerie music from the night before. The same dollhouse-like tune has started again, coming from a small music box he keeps on his shelf.
Guys, I was just praying, and the music box just started playing by itself. Can you do that again? Nope. Nope. Nope, nope, nope.
The camera focuses on it as the melody begins to play on its own, no one touching it. The soft, mechanical tune echoes through the room, sending chills through the silence. Ali's breathing grows heavier, and he mutters a prayer under his breath before kneeling forward again. He films the music box continuing to play despite not being wounded. Once it finally stops, he prays 3 more times in succession, visibly shaken, but trying to stay composed. He later explains that whatever is in his home doesn't seem to want to leave, and that he's now considering bringing in someone spiritual to cleanse the place. In the next clip, we see a woman sitting at her desk, casually talking to the camera. Her tone is calm but clearly frustrated as she explains how she's been having strange problems lately with managing to get people to come to her shows, and she doesn't understand how. She is evidently confused with the situation, but little did she know that she was about to become far more confused from something else.
I just want to know how I can get people to come to our shows. How do we get people to come to our shows? No, I am just trying to understand. Tell me it doesn't look like there's someone right here. There's not.
As she continues talking, behind her, in the doorway that seems to lead to a closet, something suddenly falls to the floor in a swift motion. The movement is quick and sharp. Cutting through the quiet room, she freezes mid-sentence, her eyes darting toward the sound, before slowly turning around in disbelief. From the camera's angle, it's clear the doorway is fully visible, meaning no one could have been inside or near it. After ending the clip, she gets up, cautiously walks to the closet, opens it wide, and finds nothing inside. Very spooky indeed. It begins with the sound of frantic barking echoing through a quiet house. The camera switches on as the person behind the camera is very confused because they don't even own a dog. The barking seems to be coming from below, down near the basement.
Hello?
Oh my God! As they approach the staircase, the noise grows louder, mixed with the unsettling noise of the basement door repeatedly opening and closing at the bottom. The person hesitates for a moment, panning the camera to their blue-haired friend behind them before slowly making their way down. The sound of claws against the floor echoes up the steps, the barking sharp and desperate. When they reach the halfway point, something starts charging upward, heavy, rapid footsteps, but there's nothing visible. No animal, no figure, just the sound rushing past the camera. The person gasps and stumbles back up the stairs out of fear. What's most unsettling is how real the barking sounded, yet how completely invisible whatever made it was. Viewers have started calling it one of the clearest recordings of a ghost dog ever caught on camera. A few days later, the man's mother came over to visit, bringing her dog along. Wanting to prove what he'd been hearing, he decided to film again while she was upstairs. The clip begins with him standing halfway down the basement stairs, camera in hand, while the same unsettling noises echo from below. The sound of the basement door rattling and creaking is identical to before, as if whatever caused it had returned. At the top of the stairs, his mother's dog stands frozen, staring down into the darkness, its ears pinned back and body tense. The man takes a breath and walks down the remaining steps. He flips on the basement light, revealing the quiet, still space below, except for one single door at the far end, the one that always seems to make the noise. As he gets closer, the air seems heavy, the only sound being the faint hum of the light above. Then, without warning, the door creaks open entirely on its own. From the top of the stairs, the dog lets out a deep bark, barking again and again, refusing to come down. The man freezes, whispering for it to stop, but the barking only grows louder. He runs away. Viewers later pointed out how dogs often sense things humans can't, leaving many convinced that whatever was haunting that basement had finally made itself known. The footage begins upstairs this time, showing the man cautiously standing in his sitting room, camera in hand. The camera aims at a cabinet before, without warning, the right door creaks open all on its own. He stops dead in his tracks, filming it slowly swinging wider, and it's important to remember nobody else was home. Then, from across the hallway, the light above another room begins to sway back and forth, casting long, distorted shadows on the walls. He steps closer, his breathing quick and uneven, each creak of the floorboards echoing through the house. Just as he reaches out toward the swinging light, a sudden thunderous smash explodes somewhere nearby, cutting the electricity completely. Every light in the house goes out in an instant. The camera captures his panicked breathing in the darkness as he scans around, trying to see what broke. Then, for just a second, he freezes and stumbles back. The lens catches him staring into a nearby room, and then he sounds audibly shocked at what he saw in there. The clip ends there as he turns and runs, leaving viewers certain that whatever haunted his basement had now made its way up gears. The following video begins with the camera shaking slightly, the person behind it clearly nervous. A young woman is filming inside her bathroom after noticing something strange. The toilet paper roll swaying on its own, and the blinds shifting as if a breeze was pushing through, even though the window is closed.
I don't remember fucking opening that. What the fuck is that? Okay. Oh shit. What is that? What is that? Why? That's on the outside. What honestly is that? What honestly is that? I gotta use my... What the fuck is... It's on the outside! It's on the outside! I'm scared. I'm terrified. I'm hard. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
Once she starts to record, she moves closer, her breathing quick, whispering to herself as she reaches for the blinds to check behind them. There's nothing there, just an empty window. She turns the camera back toward the window, and that's when it happens. 3 distinct finger marks suddenly drag themselves across the surface, leaving behind white scratch-like streaks, as if something unseen had swiped at it. The sound is faint, but sharp, enough to make her jump back. She slams the blinds shut, muttering nervously before quickly walking out of the bathroom. The clip ends abruptly, the camera still trembling, and whatever made those marks remains completely unseen. Ellen had been home alone that night when the knocking started. At first, it was faint, but then it grew louder, more desperate, like someone begging to be let inside. The camera shakes slightly in his hands as he walks through the dimly lit hallway toward the front door, his voice trembling as he whispers that he's scared.
Pensé que ya lo había visto todo, pero... Oh my God. Pero... esto es lo que está sucediendo en estos momentos. Sonidos y gritos extraños. Y ahora la puerta. Como pueden ver, estoy completamente solo. No sé a qué me estoy enfrentando, pero tengo mucho miedo, mucho miedo. Vamos a ver qué es lo que podemos captar. No sé si ustedes logran ver algo o logran ver a ver qué o quién está haciendo esos ruidos, ese llanto. Son las 4:45 de la madrugada y no, nada más esto me faltaba. No manches.
The knocking continues in sharp bursts until he finally reaches for the lock and hesitantly opens the door. For a moment, there's only silence, and then soft crying can be heard from outside. The sound is faint but heart-wrenching, echoing through the empty street. Ellen freezes, then quickly shuts the door again, locking it tightly and backing away. He tries to calm his breathing as he walks off, clearly in a state of distress and nerves. But before he can reach his room, a low, eerie whistling begins from behind the door, slow and deliberate, as if whoever or whatever was out there knew he was listening. The clip cuts there, ending with Ellen running toward his room in pure panic. Sophie had been feeling uneasy all day after hearing strange noises in her room, the kind that made her question if someone else was there. To calm down, she stepped outside with a ball, kicking it gently across the yard while trying not to look back at the house. The camera follows her as she walks further away, her tone light but nervous. She must have been starting to feel better at least.
I'm like really paranoid right now. Ew, it smells weird in my mouth. Oh, that just went. Hello? Hell no. I'm out. I'm done. That's it. I'm fucking. I'm out. No.
About a minute and 16 seconds into the recording, a faint whisper can be heard calling her name. The most frightening part is that it isn't just any voice, it's her own, perfectly matching her tone and pitch, but coming from behind her near the house. She freezes instantly, the ball rolling to a stop beside her foot. The whisper repeats, softer this time, almost teasing. Without hesitating, Sophie sprints back toward the house, the camera shaking wildly as she fumbles for the door. She rushes inside, slams it shut, and locks it, her breathing heavy. Who knows if she truly escaped whatever this was that night, but what we do know is she is too frightened to inform her parents. Late one night, Wyatt was sitting on his bed when his dog suddenly started barking toward the window. At first, he thought it was just another animal outside, but the dog's behavior quickly turned strange. It wasn't looking out the window. It was staring just beside it, inside the room.
It has been freaking me out for about 15 minutes. I know, dude. What's going on? What are you seeing? Something's been spooking him. He's jumping around. This dude. What are you seeing? Why don't you back up? Charlie. I know. Calm down. It's okay. What are you seeing? You're freaking me out, buddy. Do we need to go? Should we go, Bubba? You tell me when it's time to go. Because I don't know what you're looking at, but when we need to go, you let me know, buddy. What's freaking you out, bub? Okay. Should we go? Yeah? You leave when we gotta go. As soon as you walk out, I'll be right behind you.
Wyatt aimed the camera in that direction, but nothing could be seen. The dog, however, wouldn't stop growling, its fur raised and tail tucked low, letting out uneasy whines between low rumbles. Wyatt tried to calm it, gently saying it was okay, but the dog's focus stayed fixed on something above eye level, as if whatever it saw was tall and standing against the wall. The tension builds until Wyatt nervously asks his dog if it wants to go. That's when it happens. A faint, unmistakable male voice answers softly from the direction of the window. It says, yes, but in a tone that's quiet and almost playful. Wyatt doesn't actually realize the ghost replies, whilst the dog slowly backs away, still growling at the empty space. The clip ends there, leaving the voice unexplained. A woman had started filming after hearing footsteps echoing faintly through her house late at night. Her voice is quiet, unsure, as she moves from room to room, trying to figure out where the sounds are coming from. She eventually stops outside the bathroom with an evident suspicion that it may be involved with the haunting. The air feels heavy, and for a few seconds, everything goes still. She steps inside the bathroom, looking around with the camera pointed toward the mirror and shower, but nothing seems out of place. Then, just as she's about to turn the camera off, something subtle happens. Exactly 1 minute into the video, a clear shadow passed across the railings of the stairs ahead of her, and it was moving smoothly as if someone had just walked by. The woman didn't notice it at the moment, but when she reviewed the footage later, that shadow confirmed what she'd feared all along. She hadn't been alone in the house that night. Misty had decided to post a follow-up video after her previous paranormal clip gained a lot of attention. In this one, she slowed the footage down to show what really happened. It was from her baby cam facing the crib where her youngest was sleeping, while her older son's bunk bed was left vacant due to him being at football practice.
Hey y'all, I see all of your comments coming through. I had no idea that this video was going to blow up like it did, so I have not been able to respond to everybody. A lot of you had said that the video was too fast for you to see anything, so I'll include it on here with it slowed down. I still have no idea what happened or what that was. I left the house today. My son had a football game and my mother-in-law was here. She lost internet for like, I don't know, maybe 2 hours. That was really the only weird thing that happened while I was gone for her. And that's all I have. It was a 4-second video. As soon as I saw that object appear on the top of the bunk bed, I just threw my phone and camera and I just went running up there. So I just really didn't get much longer of a video than that. I will see how tonight goes and see what we need to do further, if it's nothing or if it ends up being something. So have a good night.
For a few seconds, everything looks peaceful until a strange shadow-like object suddenly pops out from the side of the bunk. It moves quickly, almost like it's crawling or leaning forward, before vanishing just as fast as it appeared. Misty immediately ran upstairs when she first saw it live, convinced something was in the room, but when she got there, nothing was out of place. No one else was upstairs, and her baby was sound asleep. Thankfully, the baby was completely fine, but the slowed-down footage made it impossible to ignore that something unexplainable had definitely appeared beside the crib. After the slowed-down footage went viral, a lot of people in the comments wanted to know more about the room itself. so Misty decided to vlog the entire space to clear things up. She started by explaining that the baby had been moved into this room recently from what was now her home office. From the start of the video, she admits she always feels uneasy there, saying it's hard to even breathe when she walks inside. Take a look at what happens when she plucks up the courage to enter, though.
Okay, a lot of y'all were asking about the room situation, so I'm gonna run that through real quick. We moved my daughter from this room into this room. She got new furniture. That's why the bunk bed is still in there. Then we moved the baby from my office, which used to be her bedroom, now it's my office again, up into this room. So this is the attic that's in between the rooms that I was talking about that's cracked. It's been that way for a while, so it's not something that I'm overly concerned about, but y'all have got me freaking out in the comments. I cannot even breathe walking in this room, so I am truly terrified, but I'm gonna walk y'all in here real quick. This is the bunk bed. This is where I took her out of her crib, ran up the bunk bed. There was nothing up there when I came. We have her rocking chair, her changing station, her closet with all of the stuff that we still need to put up. This is where I have everything that was gifted. I know a lot of y'all were saying check stuff that came from a thrift store or that wasn't yours, because it might be causing it. I will show you guys up here. There's nothing suspicious. There's no hair from like a rat or something that could have came in. This is marker. These are still tucked in on the sides, like they're still tight from, you know, if somebody was trying to be underneath the blankets. I don't think that's plausible. So I don't know. I have no idea what could be causing it. Oh my God, it's rocking.
She turns the light on and shows that nothing seems unusual at first. The crib sits quietly in the corner, and she points up to the top bunk to prove there's nothing up there either. Everything appears normal, but as she's talking, something subtle shifts in the background. The small chair next to the bed begins to rock gently on its own. Misty freezes, the camera shaking slightly as she realizes what's happening. The chair keeps moving, slow but deliberate, as if someone invisible had just stood up from it. The clip cuts off as she lets out a loud scream and starts her escape from the room, ending the video abruptly. In the next video, Misty is sitting in the living room doing her daughter's hair, trying to get back to normal after everything that had happened. She's chatting softly to her, laughing here and there, and for the first few seconds, everything feels calm.
Mom, how'd you sleep last night?
Good, but Avery woke up a lot last night.
Oh, you slept with me. How would you have heard her wake up? She slept all night.
There was music playing from her room. You guys were like laughing.
Are you sure you weren't dreaming?
I don't think I was dreaming. I got like no sleep.
Sorry, baby.
Oh, it's Brandon. Hi, Brandon.
Good morning, sunshine.
Good morning.
You already awake?
Yeah.
How was your night?
Sissy said that Avery kept her up all night because she said she heard her like laughing and playing and music going in her room.
Didn't you have her in the room last night, or room?
Yeah, I had Avery last night.
Yeah, you have some crazy dreams, or?
That's what I said.
I'm just gonna call, make sure you're awake and getting ready. Well, I love you. I'll call you later, okay?
Love you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Then, around 11 seconds in, a faint voice can be heard over the background noise. It's quiet, but clear enough to make out. It says, "Hey." Misty doesn't seem to notice it right away, but viewers caught it instantly and flooded the comments asking who else was in the room. She later confirmed that it was just her and her daughter home at the time. No one else had been in the house, and the voice hadn't come from the TV or her phone. After hearing it back herself, Misty admitted she's now looking into how to sell the house altogether, saying she can't shake the feeling that whatever was in there isn't finished with them yet. In the following piece of footage, Melody explains that her birthday was just a few days ago, and someone had sent her a bouquet of pink flowers. They were beautiful, but they came with no note, no sender information, and nobody in her life ever mentioned sending them. She figured it was a mix-up, or maybe a secret admirer, but she didn't think much more about it. Then, on the day of the recording, she came home from work and found another delivery waiting at her door.
Okay, this might be nothing, but the timing is just not it. It was my birthday, right? And I got these flowers. Boom. They're dying. I know. That's not weird because it's me, okay? They die. no note. So, and I figured, you know, when it's my birthday, someone's gonna call or text me and be like, happy birthday, did you like my flowers? That didn't happen. It didn't happen. So, hold on, my dogs are freaking out. Hold on. Back to the story. So today when I get home, okay, yeah, I leave a note.
This time it was a fresh set of bright yellow flowers, arriving at the exact moment her original pink bouquet was starting to wilt. Still no note, no message, no clue. After the footage, she checked with family, friends, even co-workers, and not a single person claimed they were from them. The timing feels deliberate, almost like someone is watching closely enough to know when the first set was beginning to die. Now she's not sure if she should be flattered, creeped out, or both, because whoever is sending them clearly isn't finished. In the follow-up clip, she explains that after posting the video about the mysterious flowers, her followers started messaging her non-stop, all saying the same thing. They claimed something appeared behind her while she was talking, something she hadn't noticed at all in the moment. Curious and a little shaken, she went back into the footage and adjusted the brightness and contrast to see what they were talking about, and this is what she uncovered.
Warning, if you scare easy, this shit made my stomach drop. So once again, I could have gone my whole life without y'all telling me there's something behind me. In every single one of my videos is the one where I get flowers, no note. I thought that's what the TikTok was about, but apparently there is someone or something standing behind me in the doorway. I decided I'm going to screen record myself screenshotting the doorway, playing around with the settings. This is what I found.
In the doorway behind her, barely visible at first, an almost fully transparent human figure is standing there, shaped just enough to recognize but faded enough to look unreal. The longer she stares at the edited frame, the clearer it looks, like someone was silently watching her from just a few feet away. She's convinced now that this wasn't some random glitch or shadow trick. After all, someone has been sending her flowers with oddly perfect timing, and the presence behind her didn't look like anything living. Her followers think it might be connected, maybe even the same unseen visitor, leaving gifts on her doorstep. She isn't sure what to believe anymore, but she's certain she's not alone in that house. Matt decided to set up a camera in the kitchen before leaving for work, hoping to finally catch whatever had been making noises in the middle of the day when nobody was home. He mentioned earlier that strange things kept happening while he was gone, so he left the camera running for hours just to see what would show up. Little did he know that he was actually going to capture something. The footage opens with a wide shot of the quiet kitchen, nothing moving, no pets, no open windows, nothing that could cause any disturbance. Then, without warning, one of the chairs at the dining table suddenly tips over, crashing to the floor with enough force to echo across the room. A few seconds later, before the silence even settles, another chair at the kitchen counter falls over on its own, this one leaning almost purposefully, before dropping flat like something had pushed it. Matt watched all this back later and was stunned. There were no drafts, no people, No reason for two different chairs across the room to fall the way they did. Whatever's been in his house wasn't hiding anymore, and the camera finally proved it. A few days later, Matt was actually holding the camera himself this time, instead of relying on the kitchen setup, and he was in the bathroom attached to his bedroom when he started hearing strange noises coming from the closet. He thought maybe his girlfriend was messing with something in there, so he stepped out of the bathroom and began filming while calling for her, but she didn't answer, and the bedroom was completely empty.
I'm in my bathroom that's attached to my bedroom. I keep hearing fucking noises coming from the closet that's just on the other side of the wall. But Sarah's gone. Babe. Babe. Hello? Babe? Max? Oh, what the dude?
As he points the camera toward the open doorway of the closet, in the darkness something faint and hard to identify can be seen shifting near the back wall. It barely has a shape, almost blending into the shadows, but it's enough to send him into a panic. Matt immediately sprints out of the room and runs to the other side of the house, completely shaken. Whatever was in that closet wasn't human, and it definitely wasn't waiting around to be seen any clearer. A woman was sitting in a leather chair, looking exhausted after a long day, while her partner filmed her from across the room just to capture her quote-unquote being attractive. She wasn't expecting anything unusual to happen, but the camera accidentally picked up something behind her that they instantly clocked onto.
You look tired.
Yeah, kinda.
Tonight was a long night.
It was. Why are you filming me?
You just look really good right now.
I do think we're a pretty attractive couple. Don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. Oh my god.
What? What happened? Did you see something?
In the window behind her, a dark figure can be seen walking past, moving smoothly from one side to the other, as if someone was outside looking in. The man recording instantly reacts, rushing out the door to check the yard, expecting to catch whoever walked by. But the second he gets outside, there's nothing. No footsteps, no shadows, nobody even close to the house. The yard is completely empty. The figure in the window had to have been a ghost, and seeing it after the fact only made the situation even more unsettling. In another clip that was posted a few days later, the same woman from the window video decided to vlog about how uneasy she'd been feeling since that night. She explained she'd been getting random goosebumps around the house and just wanted to document it in case anything else happened. For the first few seconds, she's walking around and talking normally until something suddenly catches her off guard.
Hey, so I know some of you don't believe me, but I've been starting to get goosebumps and the hair on the back of my neck is starting to... What the hell?! We are moving.
What happened?
We see her gasp before she spins the camera around toward the bathroom, and there it is, a huge human-shaped shadow standing directly behind the shower curtain, tall and completely still. She hesitates only a second before pulling the curtain back with one quick motion, but there's nothing behind it at all. No person, no shadow, nothing that could have created that shape. Her voice is shaking as she backs away and calls out to her boyfriend that they're moving out, because at this point, she's had enough. In the final part of their footage, the man starts filming again, After Savannah tells him she's been hearing voices coming from the balcony area, she sounded stressed at the time, so he decided to go check it out with the camera rolling. As he begins walking toward the balcony door, something unexpected happens.
Okay, so Savannah's saying that she's hearing voices out on the balcony, so I told her I would check it out. What the hell is that? I definitely just saw somebody out there.
Did you see something?
Before he even reaches the balcony, a tall shadow figure is already standing at the window, its shape pressed against the glass as if it's staring inside. He freezes for a second, trying to focus the camera, but just then, something behind him falls with a loud clatter that makes him spin around in shock. When he turns back toward the balcony, only a moment later, the shadow figure is completely gone. No movement, no fading, nothing. Whatever Savannah had been hearing wasn't just a voice this time, it was watching them.